Hey there, welcome to the Focus Podcast with Taralee. This is the place where we talk about real life, real relationships, and how to grow through it all. If you're looking for simple mindset shifts, better communication, and deeper connections, you're in the right spot. Let's dive in. Hey friends, welcome back to the Focus Podcast with Taralee. I am Taralee, your certified parent coach and a mom of grown kids and someone who deeply understands the ups and downs of parenting teenagers. I am so glad you're here. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. You have landed in the right place. This podcast is your safe space to explore how to parent with intention without losing your mind. We use my 5-step focus framework to move from conflict to connection, one simple mindset shift at a time. Now, in our last episode, we talked about one step in the focus model, facts first, getting grounded in what actually happened, not just the story our brain spins. If you missed that one, I highly recommend going back to listen to it. It's the foundation of everything we're building here. And if you've been following along, you know I recently introduced 2 new ways to use the focus framework, because we know parenting doesn't just happen in hindsight or theory. It happens in real time, in the chaos of the moment, and in those quiet reflections afterwards. So here's how I break it down. I have the reflective focus to understand and learn from what had already happened, and real-time focus to prepare for and navigate tough conversations in the moment. These 2 approaches work hand in hand. One helps you process and grow from the past, and the other helps you stay calm and intentional when the heat is on in the moment. And hey, if you want to grab a visual to both models and when to use them, I've created a free download just for you. It's simple, it's clear, it's something you can keep handy in those moments of what do I do now? So go grab those on my website. Just head to the link in the show notes or visit peacefulheartjourney.com/resources. Today we're going to dive into step 2 of both models, which is own your thoughts. And this one is big because the way you think about your teen impacts how you feel and how you show up. So let's get into it here. So here's the wild thing, but it's very true. Your brain is constantly scanning for meaning. It's like a little detective, but not always a very reliable one. Let me share a story about a client that I have who originally came to me for coaching to get help with navigating the tension with her teenage daughter. During one of our sessions, she brought up something that had happened with her husband. So she had come downstairs, and she found her husband on his laptop working at the kitchen table. And he didn't look up, didn't say good morning, didn't even ask how she slept. He just kept typing. And instantly her brain went straight to, wow, he completely checked out. He doesn't even care enough to say hello or good morning anymore. So, this cued the emotional spiral for her, the frustration, sadness, loneliness. And she didn't say anything. She just stewed in silence for most of the day. But when we walked through it in our coaching session, we did the facts first exercise. And here's what she realized. The fact was he was on his laptop working. But her thought that he's ignoring me on purpose caused feelings of rejection for her. And her actions through that were that she withdrew and she became cold and later snapped at him about something totally unrelated. But when she got curious instead of defensive, she asked him that evening about how his day had started out. And it turns out that he had an unexpected meeting that he was prepping for and had a presentation. And he was actually trying not to wake her up and not to bother her and let her have extra sleep. So same behavior, totally different motive. And this is the point, that her pain that morning wasn't caused by her husband's actions. It was caused by her interpretation of those actions. So owning your thoughts doesn't mean pretending that everything's fine. It just means pausing to ask, is the story that I'm telling myself helping or hurting this relationship? And willingness to do that just changed the entire tone to her whole home. So here's your coaching truth for the day. Your thoughts are what create your emotional experience, not your teen's actions or your husband's behavior or words or anything like that. It's your thoughts that are creating your emotional experience. And that's actually great news because your thoughts are the one thing that you can control. So here's a simple exercise I use with my coaching clients and with myself, honestly, every day. So grab a pen if you have a pen, or just walk through this mentally with me. So what happened? Stick to just the facts with a situation. What was your automatic thought? What did your brain say about it? And how did that thought make you feel? And what did you do in response to that? Now ask, is there another thought that I could choose that would feel more helpful? So let's walk through an example together. You are in your house and you walk past your teen's room and see clothes all over the floor and empty dishes on the desk and a backpack half open, spilling out homework everywhere. Your thought at this moment could be, wow, they're so lazy. I've taught them better than this. They don't respect the space that I've worked so hard to provide. Your thoughts lead to feelings of frustration or unappreciation or maybe even resentfulness. And you march in and you snap, this is disgusting, clean it up right now, or I'm throwing it all out. So now let's pause. What is another thought that you could choose in that same moment? Same scenario. You walk by your teen's room and it's messy and you see dishes and everything all over the place. Instead of thinking the thought you had originally, you could think a new thought. Your new thought could be, wow, their brain must be really overwhelmed. Maybe this is a reflection of how scattered they feel inside right now, not a sign of disrespect. And suddenly your feeling might shift from frustration to compassion for your teenager. And you might approach the situation with calm curiosity instead of intensity in the moment. Maybe you will then ask if they want help creating a system, or maybe you could set a clear boundary without the emotional heat. So same messy room, different mindset, entirely different outcome. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about recognizing your thoughts shape the energy you bring into a moment, and that energy can impact everything. Okay, so let's talk about some common thought traps that I see. These are patterns that I see all the time in my coaching practice, and if you catch yourself in any of these, please know that you're not alone. We all do this. They're not flaws, they're just part of being a human. But once you can see them, you have the power to shift them. So let's break them down. The first one is personalization. This is when you take your teen's behavior and you make it mean something about you. Let me give you an example. Your teen walks in the door and doesn't say hi, slams the door, heads straight to their bedroom and disappears. Your brain instantly goes to, wow, she's being so disrespectful, or she's mad at me. What did I do wrong now? And you start spiraling. You start thinking, she's so ungrateful and I do so much for her and this is how she treats me. But here's what I want to ask my clients to do in that moment. Pause and take a deep breath and ask, is it possible that this isn't about me at all? Because the truth is, most of the time it's not. Your teen might have had a rough day at school, or they might be anxious about a test, or fighting with a friend, or simply just overstimulated and need a break. They're not plotting against you. They're just trying to survive their own inner world. And once you realize that, you can respond from a place of support instead of defensiveness. So try replacing they're doing this to me with they're having a hard time and I don't have to take it personally. That one shift can change your entire energy. So the second thing is all or nothing thinking. This one sounds like he never listens to me, or she's always so rude, or we never connect anymore. Our brains love extremes. It simplifies things, but it also distorts reality, and it drains the hope out of a situation. So when I hear a parent say, we never get along, I'll ask them, never, ever? Like not even once in the past month? And usually they'll laugh a little and say, well, there was that one time we had a good talk in the car, and he did thank me last week when I helped him with his project. So exactly, it's not never, it's sometimes. And sometimes is actually a pretty powerful word. So try this reframe. Sometimes we struggle and sometimes we connect, and I'm working on noticing both. Because when you focus on only what's not working, you miss the moments that are working. And those are the ones that give you momentum as a parent, I feel like. The third common thought trap is catastrophizing. This one is sneaky and it's probably the most exhausting. It sounds like this. If he can't even clean his room, how is he ever going to hold a job? Or how is he ever going to live on his own? He's going to end up living in our basement forever with a stack of dirty dishes and no ambition. So this is what I mean. Like, whew, that's exhausting. We went from socks on the floor to a total life failure in 3 seconds there. Can you relate to this? Here's the deal. Our brains are always doing this because they're trying to protect us. They think if I imagine the worst, maybe I can prevent it. But catastrophizing only creates anxiety. It doesn't create solutions. So let's slow it down. Let's take a deep breath and remind yourself that one messy day doesn't predict the rest of their life. Just because they're struggling now doesn't mean that they're incapable of growth. And sometimes we forget that our kids are still becoming just like we are. And these thought traps, personalization, all or nothing, catastrophizing, they don't mean that you're a bad parent. They just mean you're a parent with a human brain. And the good news is, once you start noticing these patterns, you don't have to be ruled by them anymore. You can say, oh, hey brain, I see you. I see you're going to the worst case scenario again today. So thanks for trying to protect me, but we're going to choose different thoughts this time. You don't need to wrestle with your brain. You just need to be onto it. And that's how we go from reacting in the moment to actually responding on purpose, and how we start to shift from reactivity to intentionality. Okay, this next part might sting a little at first, but I say it with so much love and so much freedom on the other side. Your teen isn't the problem. Your thoughts about your teen are. Now, let me be super clear. That doesn't mean your teen is flawless or that you're imagining the tough stuff. Teens can be absolutely challenging. They push our boundaries. They forget things. They test your patience on the daily. And some of them leave wet towels on the floor in the bathroom like it's their full-time job. So no, we're not sugarcoating their behavior or pretending that everything's fine, but what actually creates your experience as a parent, how you feel and how you show up, isn't their behavior. It's your interpretation of their behavior. So let's take an example. Your teen is lying on the couch, scrolling on their phone for the 5th hour in a row, and the dishwasher's still full and their homework is still untouched. So we have some thought options. Option A, she is so lazy, she just expects everything to be done for her. I'm raising an entitled child. So what feelings does that thought lead to? Probably frustration, maybe even resentment, which leads you to act in a way like marching in and criticizing, maybe yelling, or stewing silently while rage wiping the countertops. This results in distance and tension and disconnection with your teen. So now let's try option B. Your thought could be, she might be overwhelmed. Maybe she doesn't even know where to start, so she's escaping into her phone. Who of us hasn't done that, right? This would lead to feelings of maybe curiosity or concern, which could lead to your actions of where you might sit down and say to her, hey, what's going on today? I noticed you've been on your phone for a while. Do you need help tackling what to do first? This results in connection and conversation and maybe even some forward momentum in your relationship. So same teen, same couch, same phone, completely different emotional energy from you. So let's try another example here. Your teen says something sarcastic when you remind them for the 10th time to take the trash out. Your thought option A could be, he's so disrespectful, he has zero appreciation for everything I do. Or you could have thought option B, he's probably very frustrated. He might be tired of me reminding him, and maybe I am too. See how the second thought allows for shared humanity? It brings the temperature down and it doesn't excuse their behavior, but it makes space for understanding. And when you lead from that kind of energy, it changes the way you address the issue. Because here's the truth. You can correct behavior and stay connected. You can hold boundaries without believing the worst about your teen. And the way you do that is by owning your thoughts first. So let's take this a little bit further. Let's try this reflection prompt. So what is one thought that you consistently have about your teen that makes things harder? And then ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Is it even true? And could there be a more compassionate way to see this? So let's do that again. What is one thought that I consistently have about my teen that makes things harder? And is it helpful? Is it true? Could there be a more compassionate way to see this? And this isn't pretending that your teen's behavior is perfect. It's realizing that you have the power to shape how you respond, and that power lives in your own thoughts. So try this at home. This is a thought check-in here. Let's make this practical, okay? This week, I want to invite you to do a little thought check-in. Nothing complicated, just a few minutes of reflection. And this can totally shift the way you experience your teen. So start by identifying one recurring thought you tend to have about your teen, especially one that creates tension, frustration, and distance between you. It might be something like these thoughts. They don't respect me. He's so selfish, and she's not even trying hard, or they never listen to me, or he only cares about himself, or she's always on her phone. And then write it down. Seriously, put pen to paper if you can. There's something powerful about seeing your thoughts on paper. It creates a space between you and the story your brain is telling you. And then walk through these 4 questions. Number 1, is this a fact or is it just a thought? Facts are neutral. They're observable events. Imagine if a camera were there and could film it. She didn't clean her room is a fact. She's lazy is a thought. When we confuse the two, we end up treating our opinion as reality and reacting to it as if it's the only truth. The second thing I want you to ask is, how do I feel when I think that thought? And be honest here. What emotion does this bring up? Is it anger? Is it hurt? Hopelessness? Is it exhaustion? These feelings might matter because they directly impact how you parent in the moment. And the third question is, what do I do when I feel that way? How do you show up when you're in that emotional space? Do you get snappy? Do you withdraw, start lecturing, or do you shut down emotionally? This is where we start to connect the dots. How your thought created the feeling, which led to an action that probably didn't bring you closer to your teen. Question 4 is, what's another thought I could try instead? And I really want to emphasize this. You don't have to jump from they're so selfish to they're the most amazing child in the universe, because that would feel fake and your brain would totally reject it. We're just aiming for a 10% shift, something softer, something a little more curious and compassionate. Here are some gentle reframe examples. Instead of thinking, he doesn't care about anything, try this thought. He's overwhelmed and trying to cope in his own way. Instead of, she's so disrespectful, try this thought. She's learning how to manage big emotions, and so am I. Instead of thinking, they never help around the house, try this thought. We're still working on routines and follow through. Instead of, she's not even trying, try this thought. She may be trying in ways I can't see. Notice how these thoughts don't excuse the poor behavior, but they do shift the energy from judgment to curiosity and from blame to possibility. And that one mental shift can soften your heart and lower the emotional temperature and make room for real connection. So here's your challenge for the week. Pick one thought, walk through it with the 4 questions, and then choose a new thought, one new thought to practice when that situation comes up again. It might not feel natural at first, and that's okay. We're not trying to force you into sunshines and rainbows and everything right off the bat. You're just training your brain to see a fuller picture. Because parenting isn't about perfection, it's about practice. And every time you pause and choose a more helpful thought, you're rewiring your brain and shifting your energy and opening the door to a better relationship with your teen. So small thought, big ripple. Okay, some final thoughts before we wrap up today. I want to remind you of something that's so easy to forget in the middle of everyday chaos. You have more power than you think. Owning your thoughts isn't about blaming yourself or taking responsibility for things that aren't yours. It's not about pretending that everything's fine or bypassing real challenges. It's about empowerment. It's about realizing that you get to be the author of your parenting story, not your teen's behavior, not your past mistakes, not your inner critic, just you. This work isn't about becoming a perfect parent, and honestly, that's not even the goal. Perfect parenting is a myth. It's also kind of boring, if we're being honest. But intentional parenting and compassionate parenting, that changes everything. When you start choosing thoughts that support connection and curiosity and compassion, something subtle but really powerful happens. You stop reacting out of habit and start responding with intention. You stop trying to fix your teen and start modeling emotional resilience for them. And you stop spiraling in the story and start anchoring what's true and what's helpful. And here's the ripple effect. When you shift, your teen gets space to shift too. And when you soften your energy, you create safety. When you stay grounded, they learn what grounded looks like. And even if they don't change overnight, even if they don't say thank you or even acknowledge the difference, you'll know that the shift has started because you started it. And that makes you the leader, not the fixer, not the victim, the grounded, intentional leader of your own emotional experience. So this week, I want you to hold on to this truth. You can't control your teen, but you can lead with love. And it starts with the thoughts that you choose to believe. You're not behind. You're not doing it wrong. You're growing and you're practicing. You're showing up, and that's what matters more than anything you know. And I'm proud of you. I truly am. Coming up in our next episode, we'll explore step 3 of the focus model, choose your feelings. We'll dig into emotional regulation and how to stay grounded when your teen is losing it and how to create emotional safety at home. If this episode gave you something to think about or even just one light bulb moment, will you do me a favor? Will you rate and review the show? It helps more parents find this work. And don't forget to grab one of my free guides over at peacefulheartjourney.com. There's some really quick, powerful, and totally free linked in the show notes below. And just know that you're doing better than you think, and you're growing, you're not behind, you're exactly the parent that your teen needs. So see you next week. Thanks for hanging out with me today on the Focus Podcast. If something stood out or helped you in some way, feel free to share it or leave a quick review. It means a lot. Keep showing up, keep growing, and I'll catch you in the next episode.